It's such a privilege to have you here with me on my CPD course for health professionals. I'm Wendy Sweet and my PhD is in women's healthy aging. When I came through menopause myself, I was just so overwhelmed with all of my symptoms, 15 kilos weight gain, palpitations, hot flushes that never seemed to resolve. And then along came the sore joints, the aching knees and muscles, and I was still trying to do all of the exercise that I had been doing for years. And of course, I thought at the time that I ate a healthy diet. I went to my doctor with my mood swings, and of course, her solution was antidepressants, which I didn't take at that time, but I did go on HRT. And over the next month, I really felt that my symptoms weren't resolving, particularly my sleep and particularly the low energy that I was feeling. One day, after spending so much money on even more supplements and going to my physio as well as going to the podiatrist and trying to get insoles for my sore aching feet, I had plantar fasciitis, and I really just felt so exhausted. And I came home and I sat at my desk, and even though it was the middle of winter, I felt rivulets of sweat running down my back. And I threw my hands in the air and I thought there has to be a better way. At the time, I was doing my doctoral studies on women's health and aging. And as part of those studies, I was very aware of the health research, the research that shows that women in post-menopause, their highest risk is for cardiovascular and heart disease. Obviously, breast cancer is up there as well. And for some reason, women seem to go through menopause and they get into some metabolic chaos around weight gain. Some women do lose weight, obviously, but there seems to be this very vulnerable time that is linked to women coming through their 50s. I was also aware of the exercise science research. I was involved in a lot of work that had gone into physical activity participation, and it was when I was attending a conference over in Melbourne, Australia, the World Health Organization conference on health and aging, and Professor John Beard was talking about all of the problems that are in our elderly population. And then Professor Wendy Robertson from the Australian Longitudinal Women's Health Studies started to talk about women in their 50s being a vulnerable time for women to get out of exercise. And this blew me away because that's the sort of thing that I was hearing about anecdotally, not only in the New Zealand fitness industry, but also up in America. And so I started my interviews as I travelled the length of New Zealand, and I was interviewing women about health and aging. And as part of those interviews, I was asking them about what exercise they were doing. And primarily they were doing a lot of high intensity exercise. They were following the direction of trainers or exercise professionals. But then they were telling me about their exhaustion, their weight gain, the fact that they couldn't sleep, and of course the sore joints came up. And I remember at the time that even though as an interviewer and a researcher, I hate to keep my mouth shut, but in my mind I was saying, wow, that's how I feel too. So as part of all this, I put on my physiology hat. I've taught physiology for a long time, and I thought there has to be a solution here. Why is it that there's women in other parts of the world who don't experience the same symptoms that many Western women do? And I became quite obsessed with this idea. And at the time, I was also attending the lifestyle medicine conferences, the Australasian lifestyle medicine conferences, and I also was very aware of a lot of the lifestyle research that was starting to keep talking about this word inflammation and a new word called inflammaging. Now, I'm going to talk to you about that and all that research as part of this course. As we get into the course, I'm going to take you on a journey, and I hope that journey enables you to position our menopause transition from perimenopause to menopause to post-menopause. I hope that allows you to position that in the aging and longevity science. That's what I've got for you in this course. I want to take you through a journey about what is menopause, what is actually going on, what are some of the theories of aging that we can look at as part of our framework for positioning menopause and thinking about what is actually happening. As part of this work that I've been doing, I've set up My Menopause Transformation. You can go to that website, you can have a look around it, you can read about me, but as part of that, you can also go to the success stories and see a lot of the women who have been able to use lifestyle solutions, and yes, often alongside some of their medications and supplements as well, but really start to understand that it's a vulnerable time for our health, this midlife transition. Women are living for another 30 years or more, and we've got to be able to do that in a way that gives us our energy and vitality back, enables us not to fall into that risk of heart disease, certainly not to fall into that risk of osteoporosis and all of the things that beset our mother's generation. So I've got a lot of information for you in the course, and as part of this, I want to welcome you to it. There's a reading book, there's an ebook to whet your appetite and get you thinking about some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. The hardest thing, of course, as busy practitioners is finding the time. So as part of this course, most of my modules are around about an hour. Sometimes there's 2 modules per week, maybe about an hour and a half. Listen to them when you can. They all come with slides, but you can listen to them if you're out walking and come back to them a little bit later. And then you're going to get to know me through my Zoom calls, and I'll get to know you as well. And as part of that, we can have some discussion, really think about our learning, particularly when it comes to the physiology. And as part of that, you also get a chance to ask questions. The course convener is Georgia Sweet. Yes, she's my daughter, and it's been absolutely fantastic to have her on board with me to get these courses underway. Some of you will have come across her with your emails, but Georgia is also part of this this CPD course, and certainly frees me up to be able to help you and coach you and help you understand some of the academic positioning and literature that I've been able to explore as part of untangling our solutions and putting them into lifestyle solutions. I realised myself that what was happening with menopause is that it's been very much a part of the medical and pharmaceutical paradigm for years. As a generation of women who are used to being active and used to, we've still got a lot of living to do. We're still working. Many women are still bringing up children and certainly teenagers. And it's just a time of our life where we've got a lot going on. The stress levels are really high, and we need to be understanding the impact of that on symptoms in menopause. I always say that menopause is the bookend of puberty. So if we can look at it, if we can take a life course approach to it, if we can add a bit of, not only think about the quantitative science, but also the qualitative science as well. And that's what I want to blend, bring together for you. We need to look at the body holistically, and we need to understand certainly the HPA axis. I'll go into that with you and ensure that we're able to help women within the scope of our practice. We're able to coach them. We're able to think about and understand the symptoms that many of them are having and put it into the context of our own knowledge and our own practices, but also be able to look at the body holistically. And one of the things I'm going to explain to you is that all our hormones don't work in isolation, but for a long time, our reproductive hormones have been looked at in isolation of all the other hormones. So I'm really excited to bring that information to you. We had fabulous feedback on the first course, and I really am enjoying interacting with you as health professionals. I'm Dr. Wendy Sweet. My PhD is in Women's Health and Aging, and I'm really excited to welcome you to the professional course that I have that's specific to women as they come through their perimenopause, menopause, and post-menopause transition.